Good morning and welcome to our live coverage of the People's National Party PNP election 2020. I'm Dion Jacksmiller. You know, it's a great day. It's overcast, damp, it's chilly, and it's raining on and off, but the show must go on. And we're broadcasting live from the Michael University College in Kingston. The Michael, as you always hear their graduates say, oldest teacher training institution in the Western Hemisphere. It was set up in 1836. And in fact, it's one of the oldest in the world. It's where the largest number of delegates for the PNP will be casting their ballots today. Just about a third of the delegates are eligible to vote here. They'll be voting for either Lisa Hanna or Mark Golding. One of those two will be named the 82-year-old party's sixth president. Our coverage today is brought to you live on Television Jamaica. We're also on Radio Jamaica 94 FM. We're on YouTube. We're on onespotmedia.com. And remember, you can also follow what's happening on social media. Use the hashtag PNP Votes. Now, with me on location today, I have attorney at law and Radio Jamaica's hotline host, Emily Shields. Emily, September 6th. Last year, we were at the arena for the Peter versus Peter matchup.
Right, that's right, Dion. And on that day, you will recall, it was a lot of showers as well. And today, as you said, we not only have overcast skies, but we do have heavy rain based on what has been going on for the last couple of weeks. So we will see on whose parade will it rain today.
Okay, now the polling stations opened at just about 10 o'clock, which would have been just a few minutes ago. Voting will be 10 to 3. And we are going to show you now a shot of the voting area because we have our reporters at different locations right here on the grounds of the Michael. Janella Pursues is here. She'll be talking to us a little bit later on. We have on location in St. Anne at the Brownstown Community College, Herman Green. And Dwayne Anderson is at the Cedar Grove Academy in St. Catherine. That's the location where the second largest number of delegates will be voting. Now, as I mentioned, about 3,300 delegates are going to be voting. They are delegates. We always hear that phrase, but exactly who is a delegate? Siobhan Dennis explains.
Today, Mark Golding or Lisa Hanna will be the president of the People's National Party. But how exactly will the winner be selected? First, not every party member is allowed to vote. Only delegates get to cast a ballot. But who gets to be a delegate? Julian Robinson is General Secretary of the PNP.
Delegates are elected by the groups. Groups can have a minimum of 10 members and they have an entitlement to one delegate. If a group has a maximum of 20 members, they're entitled to 2 delegates for annual conference. So the groups meet generally through their annual general meeting and they elect and name their delegate to annual conference.
The PNP's constitution states that the basic unit of the party organization is a group. There can be as many groups in a constituency as there are polling divisions. So, the more groups an MP can form, the more the constituency will have. A group can be provisional or recognized, but only recognized groups are entitled to delegates. Recognized groups have at least 10 members. Each group is allowed a maximum of 2 delegates. However, delegates are also drawn from affiliate groups of the PNP.
In addition to group delegates, you have affiliate organizations. So you would have the Women's Movement, you would have the PNP-YO, you would have the NWU, and you would have the PNP. And each of those groups has an entitlement of a certain number of delegates who are also accredited to the annual national conference.
The PNP is supposed to hold an annual conference in the month of September. The president and the 4 vice presidents are among the officers that must be elected every year at the annual conference. Because of COVID, the conference was not held in September this year. But with the PNP's outgoing president, Dr. Peter Phillips, announcing his wish to resign as soon as possible, the party convened a National Executive Council meeting.
What we're actually doing is the business session of Annual Conference 2020 to elect the president only. There was a resolution which was moved at NEC to approve that, and given that Dr. Phillips had indicated his desire to step down, the NEC decided as a matter of priority that the election of the president would be the first order of business. We postponed the other elements of annual conference, and that will be reviewed early next year for a decision to be made as to when that would be held.
This year, there are roughly 3,300 delegates on the voters list. Normally, all voting takes place in one location at the National Arena, but not this time around.
Mainly due to COVID, we normally do it at the National Arena, and what we didn't want because of the COVID restrictions is to have probably 3,500 delegates plus thousands of supporters in one location. What we decided to do is to have parish locations, so delegates will vote in their respective parishes.
The polls opened at 10 this morning and will close at 2 o'clock. The election will be overseen by the Electoral Office of Jamaica. The winner is expected to be announced by 5 o'clock. Giovanni Dennis for Television Jamaica.
Thank you so much, Giovanni. And Emily, two very different candidates here. Lisa Hanna trying to be the second woman, and then Mark Golding, who, when I first interviewed him, I said, you know, you're kind of a reluctant candidate because he had never wanted to go into representational politics.
Right.
Now he's running for president.
Which is sort of the beauty of Mark Golding. A lot of people see the fact that he was not desirous of this position. And sometimes it's as if destiny beckons to you. The thing you never planned for is the thing you're thrust into, and sometimes if you do get to become that thing, you're so good at it. And we've heard from all of the people that he's very slow to making up his mind, but when he does make his mind up, he gives it 100%. Lisa, on the other hand, seemed to have at some point in time indicated some intention overtly and covertly to some people inside the party. If she does win this election today, it will be a massive move for this 45-year-old young lady with whom the country has grown up. Part of the world has grown up watching her as well. So it's going to be interesting the way in which the delegates decide. The difference between them is sort of like the difference between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. They're
Oh my God!
They're
Emily,
really poles
you might
apart.
want to rethink that analogy.
Poles apart in terms
they are
of
very
personality. Very different.
They are.
That is all. Not in terms of the minutiae, the details, but very different.
Remember that the country has grown up with Lisa Hanna, and I think that was one of the challenges that Mark Golding
Yes.
found when he
Yes.
decided to run for the leader, because he had to, as he said it as well, introduce himself
Absolutely.
to the country as
Yes.
well as to the delegates, because he is not a first-time MP, but this would be now his first full term, because he came in midterm and has never been a kind of on-the-ground person in the way that you've seen Lisa Hanna as regional chairman and, really out there for a good period of time. So Mark Golding really had to be making a case.
And the truth is that any PNP politician contesting the position of presidency outside of Lisa, maybe outside of a Peter Bunting, outside of a Damian Crawford, they would have to introduce themselves to the people, as Mark Golding has done. Some of us who watch the politics and love it and who would watch every presentation in the House.
But why don't you just say me?
And you and all of us in the media. No, those of us who watch it, we would know Mark Golding. But those who come for this, they're not going to stick around to see Mark Golding. So Lisa comes with the advantage of being one, extremely beautiful. Her beauty thrust her into Miss World many years ago.
Giving her that international platform very early.
International platform. Every single airport across Jamaica you're going to if you travel, her picture is there. So she had a personality for the politics. So anybody who is to Mark Golding by himself, and by what others have said about Mark Golding, they seem to like this guy. He is not a stuck-up guy. He's a cool guy, a guy you'd really want to have a drink with. And I'm big on that. People you see on the road, you don't want to have a drink with them. I love football, but there are some footballers I don't want to have a drink with. And the leader that you choose, in my view, is going to be a leader that you would quite like to have a drink with. You'd walk away being full of not only good cerebral issues, but he can flex in a way.
But does that necessarily follow? We have so many issues as a country. We want somebody who's going to lead the country,
Yeah.
Take us to that vision 2030 and all the wonderful places we want to be. Does it have to be somebody I want on my veranda or to be in a bar with?
Absolutely. You've got to like them.
Why?
If people don't like you, they won't vote for you. The likability issue, particularly now in social media era. Everything we say, how we say it, the cup we never put next to every single picture and image that we put out of ourselves is magnified. And people look at it and they make their calculation. If I don't like you as a person, I do not want you to be my leader.
But there now, you've hit upon an important issue because you mentioned the issue of image
Yeah.
and social media.
Yes.
And a social media image doesn't necessarily translate
True.
into authenticity and likability.
True.
So, you can million followers and I
Yes.
like your posts and I want to be you, but do I necessarily want you running the country?
Which is why we get to know people by what people say about themselves, by what others say about them. And says the gloss of social media, but when we actually hear people speak about Mark Gold, the thing you started with at the beginning, he never desired this. He never wanted to look at what he has been doing in the shadows, coming up as a senator, then being literally dragged into South St. Andrew to be MP, and look at what the people say about how genuine this man was when he had no desire to be a president. And so you assess the gloss of the social media images now to see, is this according with what the people are now saying about this man?
Well, let's put those beside each other because Ms. Han, has a very strong social media presence.
Yeah.
And Mark Golding certainly, again, has been playing catch up.
Yeah.
So when you see some of his posts, for instance, he's linking to weekend song lists. He's now showcasing his family, who many of us had never seen before.
Yeah.
So he now is trying to get into the social media space. Has he done it successfully, though?
I don't think there's ever going to be a politician anytime soon that's going to do it as well as Lisa has done. And I've had to commend her years ago for doing that. So that's one. That's two. The fact that Mark Golding will never social media, it doesn't mean that it's going to be a deficit for him for this election. Because, again, the 3,315 people who will have to decide have had to interface with him over the last 10 years since he made his mark into the political fray.
Pun intended.
The mark. And when he came into the political fray, it's the discussions he had at those games down in South St. Andrew with the guys, the genuineness with which he went to whatever game and to literally play the music and not spinning for the crowd, but spinning because he like the way in the last election when he picked up Sandra's lotion bottle and could pen that, vote them out. Yeah, which was off the cuff.
I'm going to interrupt you for a moment. I know you're in full flight, but we have plenty of time, and we're going to be coming back. We're going to go to a break. And as we go to the break, I want to take you to this photo of the grounds on Jamaica. You're going to be seeing the clock here on that beautiful, that's such a beautiful, gorgeous building. And the time now is about 10:20. You can see the tents there, part of our broadcast location. And very nearby is the auditorium where the delegates will be voting, and we'll take you there as well in just a moment. So stay with us. We're back in a moment. Thank you so much for staying with us. We continue our live coverage of the PNP presidential are on the Micro University College grounds now. We're going to try to show you some more photographs. We're seeing delegates starting to come in. You know, when I'd interviewed the General Secretary, Julian Robinson, earlier this week, I said, rain going to fall. What are you all going to do? And he said, look, unless it's something like a hurricane, we're going to continue. We'll just put the protocols in place and people will have to, just be careful. Seeing people coming in, they are masked. The General Secretary was very clear that the protocols would have to be observed. They would have the sanitizing. And in fact, it's part of the COVID protocols that have dictated that, as opposed to the one location where voting usually takes place at the National Arena, that there is in fact a voting center in every parish this time around. So it's being run more like a general election this time, where you'll have counting taking place at the various parish stations, and then that will feed into the central location when we will get the overall total. Expecting that somewhere around 5 o'clock. Emily Shields with me on location. And before the break, Emily, you were talking about Mark Golding and saying that people seem to feel that he's very authentic, very real. Miss Hannah comes with a much more mixed set of reactions. You have people who, say she's wonderful, she's energetic, that's what the party needs. You have other people who say she's problematic, not a team player, not a good leader, divisive.
Right. Well, let me just declare here, because a lot of people may not know. For me, Lisa and I were very, very, very good friends on campus.
Oh, I didn't know that actually.
Such good friends were we that Lisa is actually the godmother of my son.
Okay.
Yeah, we were very good, very close. She would come to Taylor Hall and would stay with me. I would go to her house and stay with her. So I do have inside knowledge that I knew more than 20 years ago and had a good relationship with. I didn't find Lisa the way that people are now seeing her, which is why I had that relationship with her. And I do not know, for example, over the years, I can't say that anything happened why I'm even putting myself in the past tense. Just that life happens. I went off into this particular field that life took me, and she went off into her field. And the last time I saw Lisa must have been 8 years ago. And we ended up talking as if we were picking up from university. And then she ended up coming to my house, and she ended up spending 2-3 hours there. So such is the nature of the relationship. But I have not spoken with her in such a long time. When she got into political life, there's no doubt that there has been this trail of sort of discord. And I do not know and to account for that as to what would explain why she has fallen out politically with so many people. And she has also admitted it, that if she thought she was going to need some people now, she would step to them in a different way back then, which is not a nice sentiment to echo, because one would have to question the genuineness of your approach. It is completely out of kilter, as I said, with a person that I knew, but so it is.
Hold that for me, Emily. Both our producers, Javon Keys as Giovanni Dennis, spoke to Ms. Hannah and Mr. Golin to ask them why delegates should vote for them.
What's your message to delegates who are casting their vote today?
Delegates, today is a very critical day in the our party. The party has reposed power in you as the people who have the choice to make. You are the ones who will decide the destiny of our party going forward. Vote with your head. We are a party that puts the X beside the head. It's a rational choice that needs to be made as to who can really unite the party, rebuild the party, and take it to the Jamaican people worthy of support, and that can resume our noble mission in government. I ask you to do the right thing, vote in accordance with your mind and your conscience, and deliver Mark Golding as your new leader.
As a humble little girl that come from Retreat St. Mary, grown up with the Jamaican people. All of you know me from I used to enter the dojo to rap in. You see me with Miss World, you've seen me go through bad relationships. You've seen me at all levels fighting the struggle. And you've seen me through that, and now you need to see me through becoming president of the PNP. I'm the girl who grew up with Jamaica, and I'm the girl who wants to grow Jamaica, and I'm the girl who will take the PNP back to Jamaica House. Today, November 7th, in the name of Norman Washington Manley, Michael Joshua Manley, Percival James Patterson, Portia Lucas Miller, and Peter David Phillips, I ask you to vote for Lisa Renee Shantihano for the next the People's National Party.
Okay, we're going to go to a break. Just to let you know, if you have friends and family in Cayman, the reports we're getting there of heavy rains, heavy wind, and power outages as they continue to be affected by the outer bands of Hurricane Eto. Now, we're going to take a break. We will be back with you with more ongoing coverage at 12:30. I'm Dion Jackson Miller, sending you back to studio.